Hey everyone, I'm Manero here, and in this video, I'm going to show you how to paint a pixel art city landscape in Procreate. So let's jump right into it. In order to achieve this, I'm going to be using the Pixel Art Experience brush set for Procreate. You can find it along with a free mini version for you to try out on my Gumroad page through the link in the top right corner of this video or in the description below. I'm also going to use this amazing photo reference by Keszthelyi Timi. I will leave a link in the description as well in case you want to follow along. Before we start this pixel art, this is not going to be an in-depth tutorial on how these brushes work. Make sure to check this other tutorial I have for everything you need to know about how to do pixel art in Procreate using this brush set. Now let's get to today's painting. The first thing we need to do is to create a canvas that is appropriate for pixel art, and it will have a similar aspect ratio to the photo reference. After some testing I did off camera, I decided that for this, I'm going to create a 200 by 300 pixel size canvas in portrait mode. Remember that you can see what brush I'm using at all times by looking at this rectangle right here. Using the pixel thin to thick brush, I'm going to be painting on different layers every element that is going to be present in my painting, starting from behind with the sky, then the mountains, then the mass of water, the piece of land, and so on. By having all these shapes each on their own layer, this will allow me to then block the alpha and work on them without affecting the other areas. This method really is a time saver, so I highly recommend getting used to it. Think about it like sketching your scene, but instead of using lines, we are using shapes of different colors. With the basic shapes on the canvas, I'm going to start giving color and volume to each part, starting with the sky. My process is to use the pixel thin to thick brush to add flat colors, and sometimes you'll see that I switch to various dithering brushes in order to visually blend between colors. You probably can't see that pretty well in the sky, because the colors are very soft and similar, but you'll see that I'll use the same method in more places during the painting process. I added a new layer between the sky and the first row of mountains to paint the clouds. Same process. I paint the main shape, then I alpha lock the layer, and then I paint the details inside that shape. You can see how I use the dithering brushes to add this pattern of the darker blue tone in the clouds that makes it look like the color is bleeding into the lighter blue. Now I proceed to detail the mountains layer by layer. And I continue to add the dithering effect in those areas where I want to have this sort of mid-tone between the colors. In this layer, I'm using the pixel thin to thick brush to carefully give a hint of those trees and buildings in the distance. I'm detailing now this layer of vegetation using browns for the mid-tones, a mix of gray and dark blue for the shadows, and a light brown for the highlights. When it comes to choosing colors, I'm basically looking closely at the photo reference and trying to pick those colors that better represent each part of the image. Working in pixel art is mainly simplifying things to an extent where with a very few pixels and basic colors, we can represent anything in a cool and stylized way. At this point I'm going to start painting the main part of the image, which is the buildings that are on the platform in the middle of the mass of water. For the city, I'm going to paint the general mass of the buildings in a single shape on a new layer, paying careful attention to the silhouette of the most characteristic buildings. Then I'm alpha locking this layer and I'm going to start detailing the different parts, focusing on those areas that really stand out, like that beautiful dome in the tall building. I'm also adding the basic colors for the different facades in the front side of the buildings. And I slowly continue to work on the details for the roofs. The different pixel pattern brushes that come with this set are fantastic when it comes to add details to buildings, because they will allow you to simulate different patterns that will really look like windows and other building parts. I'm trying out with different brushes and experimenting so that each building looks different. I'm also using dithering brushes in order to add detail and texture to the city as a whole. To add the two bridges in the scene, I'm using the pixel thin to thick brush carefully, and I even use the quick shape feature in Procreate for things like straight lines or curves. Again, the dithering brushes are great to simulate detail with absolutely no effort. For the second bridge, this pixel pattern was fantastic to add those vertical lines in just a second. Then with the alpha locked in the layer, I continued to detail the rest of the bridge with the proper colors. Now I dedicate some time to define the water by painting different shades of blues and adding some horizontal lines that will help give the sense of calm waves and reflections. The dithering brushes also come in handy to add extra detail and visually make the colors bleed into each other. For the orange trees or bushes in the foreground, I'm going to use the pixel leaves brushes to quickly define the shape of the vegetation, and once I have the main shape blocked, I can continue using these brushes to add the mid-tones and shadows. I'm also using the pixel thin to thick brush to add some branches, using black and varying the pressure I apply with the Apple Pencil to make thinner or thicker lines. Here you can see me working on some refinements and final details. Also manually painting my signature pixel by pixel. And as a final detail, I decided that I wanted to add some simple birds flying in the sky that were not in the reference. Before we check on the final result, we need to enlarge our pixel art if we want to be able to share it on social media, otherwise the image would be too small. To do that, I'm going to duplicate the file, just so that I have a backup copy. And then I'm going to enlarge the canvas size. I personally like to enlarge the smaller side at least to 3500 pixels. Make sure you click the link icon in between the two numbers so that the size of the other side changes proportionally before you change any of the numbers. Then you want to select all the layers of your painting by swiping to the right on each one with one finger. Once you have all selected, go to the transform tool. Make sure the interpolation method is set to nearest neighbor and click on fit to canvas. Exit the transform tool to confirm the transformation, and you'll see that the pixels turn all crisp and beautiful again. You can now export this image and post it anywhere you want. And this is the final result. I really hope you liked this video. If you use my brushes and post your art on social media, feel free to use the hashtag Manero Brushes so that I can see what you create. I will be extremely happy to share your creations with my audience. Don't forget to subscribe for more art related videos and give me a thumbs up. Also, make sure to check out my Gumroad page, where you will find the Pixel Art Experience brush set for Procreate, and many other sets and freebies that I have available. I'm sure something will suit your artistic needs. All the links are in the description below. Okay, thank you for watching. See you next time.